The city of Buffalo is a very proud town. We've come from a Rust Belt past and emerged as a growing tech hub and thriving biomedical corridor. On the one hand, we're in the midst of a long-awaited renaissance, and our city has some of the largest, longest-running, and well-attended Juneteenth and similar cultural celebrations in the entire United States. On the other hand, a section of Buffalo has an entrenched poverty issue, the East Side, and which is predominantly Black and African American. East Buffalo is where a heated debate is now raging over the imposition and injustice of a so-called cap and stitch transportation proposal. It's concerning a state DOT project, the New York Route 33 Kensington Expressway, the 1950s era highway at the center of a massive $1 billion preservation initiative, supposedly concerned with reconnecting communities. What the Kensington Project will preserve is an antiquated, unwanted, unwelcome federal aid highway at all costs. The Kensington was and is an infrastructural barrier at least 20 years past the end of its project life cycle. Its overhead walk bridges were only supposed to last 40 years. The present-day Kensington Project is steeped in controversy over a perceived lack of community engagement tied to reality that, much like its forerunner from the 1950s, today's project was announced in conjunction with a dictated agenda, the cap and stitch. This proposed outcome is overwhelmingly opposed by a significant percentage of Buffalo's East Side neighbors. We prefer Humboldt Parkway's tree-lined canopy restored and its neighborhoods reconnected together again. We desire the Parkway's and MLK Park's connectivity to Delaware Park repaired. We wish the Kensington Expressway removed. We'd like it remediated. There is much room for justice to be enacted here. Such demands reflect a holistic community redevelopment and environmental justice approach, unlike New York State DOT's. Our community also deserves a comprehensive environmental impact statement and a beneficial community benefit agreement. We are meeting and hearing from a number of our impacted East Side community neighbors in hope amplification of our stories, as told in our own words, will furnish a supportive documentation of the Kensington Project's underexplored effects, and so too, East Side residents' long-term and underreported trauma may finally be acknowledged. I'm here today in the beautiful Meriwether Library with the Mr. Keith Jones, also of Buffalo, New York, and he's going to be talking to us about the Humboldt Parkway neighborhood, MLK Park, and the New York State Department of Transportation's New York 33 Kensington Expressway Project and its proposal to place a $500 million tunnel and deck atop the existing Kensington Expressway and to create a virtual park atop that promenade, and to do repair work on walk bridges and retaining walls. Mr. Jones, can you just give us a little bit of background about yourself? I know your name is Mr. Keith Jones, but who you are, what your connection to the Humboldt Parkway neighborhood and the Kensington Expressway is, including the fact that you have a relative who actually worked on the installation of the Kensington Expressway way back during the late 1950s and mid 1960s. Thank you.
Yes, I do have a connection with that in so many different ways. Like I said, my father, he worked on it for the whole thing with that. But before that, I can remember how beautiful it was. You know, the grass and stuff, the trees, how we used to just go up there and just play football, have cookouts, everything. A lot of families didn't have cars. You just come on out. That was in walking distance, and you could make it down to the Humboldt Park. If you felt like walking, you could walk all the way to Delaware Park. I said, fam, you know, one side of the street, look at the other side of the street, we have a football, so come on, let's play.
You mean you could actually stand on Humboldt Parkway in East Buffalo, and did you say you could actually physically walk from Humboldt Parkway to Delaware
Yeah,
Park?
all you had to do was stay in the grass.
On grass?
Stay on the grass. You had to cross Ferry Street. Just stay on the grass.
This was
over
before.
there.
This was before the Kensington Expressway
Way
was
before,
installed.
right before the Kensington Expressway.
Can you talk to us about the Kensington Expressway project way back then? I know you were a young child. What do you remember? You have a relative, you
My
said,
father.
that worked on. Your father worked on the Kensington
father worked
Expressway
on it,
project.
yeah.
What do you remember your father saying about the Kensington Expressway project? Did the community welcome the project at that time, in the 50s?
At that time, you got to realize it was something big to the community then, because it seemed like it made it feel like it was just something that was different. Try something new. And the way they snuck it in on us.
How did they sneak it? What do you mean?
I don't believe everybody knew what was going to happen. Next thing you know, we just looked up, and my father and them out there digging.
So your father worked for a construction
Herbert
company.
F. Darling.
The Herbert F. Darling
Yeah,
company.
they had a business now. Matter of fact, I started working for them, but that was on the rapid transit.
So your father worked for this construction company, and the construction company was given awarded a contract.
Yeah, it was one of them. It was one of them. All of because it was all union work. It was all through local 210, and you had a bunch of companies there. You had Siegfried, you had Cowper, Herbert F. Darling. Who I'm forgetting? I did that work. There's a couple other I'm forgetting. Then you had your electrical car. It was a big job. They put a lot of people to work.
Was the feeling in the community, if you remember back then, was the feeling in the community happy over the expressway coming? Were people confused about it or unaware about it, or were they fearful about it? Do you remember?
I can't say. As I said, I was a kid then, and that was something we wasn't paying that no attention back then. We just wanted, like I said, the football field was gone. I say you would get hurt. The Deaconess Hospital was right there, or you knew somebody there. It was like when you see all that tunnel and all that there. That was take away one of the lanes on the outside of it too. That was Humboldt Parkway.
So do you feel that the Kensington Expressway, when it was installed and constructed, did it improve Humboldt Parkway or did it take away from Humboldt Parkway's value?
Me personally, it took away from the value because all they were doing was making sure certain people could get downtown quicker.
So your
That's all it's for.
So your feeling and impression is that the Kensington Expressway was installed primarily for the benefit of persons who live outside of the Humboldt Parkway neighborhood.
Yeah, it wasn't for us. It wasn't for us. We was right downtown. We get there quick.
Do you believe that the current proposal of New York State Department of Transportation to put a tunnel underneath a deck that it wants to put atop and over the Kensington Expressway and keep and preserve the expressway is a good idea? Do you like that idea?
No, I don't like that. I don't like that. That's just like you need open heart surgery and they give you some Pepto-Bismol. It don't work.
Why do you not like the Department of Transportation's proposal to put a deck and a tunnel over the Kensington Expressway?
Okay. Now you put the deck there. What's gonna be on top of the deck?
Supposedly a virtual park is
virtual, but what happened to the natural?
So
take it back naturally.
What
It
is your feeling?
Fill it up.
What is your feeling of MLK Park? Humboldt Parkway used to be connected to Humboldt Park and Delaware Park.
It was all Humboldt Park before the MLK.
Exactly.
It was Humboldt Park. What was that? Like I said, museum. Like I said, it was all grass. It wasn't no. Like I said, they did that. That wasn't no convenience for us.
What did it look like for it to be all Humboldt Parkway,
grass and trees,
all the way to Delaware Park?
And trees.
What did that look like? Can you describe it?
It was, like I said, it was trees. It was like well kept. Put it this way, like somebody's front lawn, well kept. They're going down the street. You got the trees there. It was nice shade in the summer.
Do you remember who took care of the park? Was it the city or the county?
I believe it had to be somebody from the cities. We didn't, we'd tear the grass up. We wasn't cutting the grass up. We were playing football on the grass. I guess it was the Parks Department, whatever they was called then.
What was the neighborhood composition? Was it primarily a black neighborhood? Was it a mixed neighborhood?
No, it was mixed over. It was mixed. It was mixed.
Did persons get along back then in the neighborhood?
Yeah, if you're there, except if you know, if you was, like I said on the program, we got along. I said, what we did, we fight and go over your house and he'd tell you, I told you I was gonna do that to you. I mean, you know.
Now, tell me,
we played. You know.
Were there community events where the various ethnic groups, for instance, Caucasian persons, Black and African American persons, did they ever do joint community events together there in the neighborhood there?
I mean, we didn't have like big events. It was neighbors.
Just neighbors,
It
but
was
you could
just
cook.
neighbors. You can cook. I mean, they cook out.
You could actually barbecue right in the middle of Humboldt Parkway.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
My goodness.
Yeah, you wanted to. Well, who was gonna say? Wasn't no traffic. Traffic. This is the park. We the traffic.
But you know what? Tell me in your own words, what would you say to the New York State Department of Transportation about the Kensington Expressway Project? What would you prefer New York State Department of Transportation to do with the Kensington Expressway, and why would you prefer they do that?
Well, my preference would be, if you're gonna do something up there, take it back to its original beauty. You know what I mean? Just because, I mean, you can see pictures of them, they might be in black and white, you're gonna be saying, man, that's all right. Bring it back to it, you know? I mean, I said, it's okay, you might have said you try to divide the community from the east, you know, one side of Humboldt to the other side. But when you did that, you only made that convenient for people that didn't stay around here. We didn't benefit it. We get downtown just as quick anyway, but that ain't, I mean, look where it goes.
There are numerous side
streets. It goes
streets.
from downtown to the airport.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
But there are numerous streets, including major streets like Genesee Street, that can take persons to the expressway
Broadway.
and to downtown Buffalo.
Genesee, Broadway,
Sycamore, William, Clinton,
all of them.
Jefferson.
All of them. Go straight on down to, don't be scared of us. Right on down the street. They can do that, but they ain't gonna do that.
I want to go back to the fact that you had a relative, your father worked on the original Kensington Expressway construction project. A number of Humboldt Parkway neighborhood residents today have made claims that they have told stories of relatives that were sickened, that grew sick because of living close by the expressway. And there are numerous stories and research and reports from all over the world that prove that living near a high-speed expressway and highway does and can in fact make an individual prone to develop chronic conditions, ailments, and even diseases that can prove deadly in some instances. Do you personally know, or do you have any recollection of having developed a chronic condition, an ailment, or any disease because of the closeness or proximity, living nearby, for instance, or even working nearby or on the Kensington Expressway?
Well, me personally, I can't say, but I know a few people that was around there, that lived around there, that I growing up with, had asthma, had respiratory problems. You know, once that happened, because I mean, you did when they was working on it, you know, diesel fumes, you know, something, all that there is not good for you. And then back then, you didn't have nothing that thought about safety. You know, we didn't even wear safety glasses. Put on safety glasses, use a pump. You know, ears, you know, hearing protection. No, they say when you retire from construction, you lose 40% of your hearing. You know, but that's how it was back then. It was best. We didn't have no masks on or nothing like that because we thought that was just dust.
So your father worked on this. Your relative, your father,
My father worked
on this Kensington Expressway project.
I knew a lot of people up there. I knew just about everybody in the company because when they get off work on Friday, they used to come around the corner to the house. My father would be in the backyard with them. The summertime, you know, get on the grill, they start drinking, then everybody go their way. You know.
Did your father ever develop any ailments or conditions or any diseases even from working on or living near the Kensington Expressway?
One thing about the construction business, you can never say where you got it from. You know, he had an ailment, but it got traced back to Bethlehem Steel Republican Steel, because we used to have to go in there and clean the blast furnaces and, you know, all that type stuff around all that.
Was the question ever asked, could his ailment have been caused, or condition, could it have been caused from working on the construction project on the Kensington Expressway? Did anybody ever ask the question?
I mean, they might have brought it up, the lawyers in New York, but when they thought about that project was probably, when this happened, would have had to be a good 25 years since that project, whatever happened with my father.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't really, they went back as far as they could when they seen it, where they pinpointed it at. And that was from working in steel plants, where we, you know,
I understand.
Even though we didn't work in the steel plants, when they wanted something cleaned up, they called the union hall. Here we go in there and do it, and we didn't have no protection.
Thank you. U.S. President Joseph Biden has made addressing climate change and reconnecting communities to free those locations of unwanted, unwelcome, racially motivated expressways and highways part of the focus of his administration. He has actually made removing and addressing highways and climate change part of the focus of his administration. That is a fact.
I know.
I want you to, if you would, speak right into that microphone but look right at that camera and tell me, what would you say to New York State Department of Transportation about the Kensington Expressway Project in clear and no uncertain terms?
Well, my opinion, my personal opinion, and if I had to say so in it, and if my word meant anything to them, I would tell them, if you're going to do something, how you going to have something, call it a virtual park or something like that? That's not that, you know, come on, bring it back to its natural beauty. I'm saying, you put a tunnel there, okay, you're going to have all that concrete, you're going to put grass over it, where how the roots going to go down to it? So you're not going to have no trees. You're not going to have nothing like that. You got to fill it all the way in the way it was. Just fill it on in with dirt and do what you got, you know.
So you're not sold, you're not believing the park, that this park that they say is going to be atop of the tunnel, atop that concrete deck. You don't believe that park is ever going to look anything like the pictures that the community is being shown?
Trees got roots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had trees there. We had no little trees. We had trees. Like you see going down the side street, you had trees like that there.
You had 50-foot, 60-foot trees.
Well, they might have.
American maple.
I was little then, so I was sure everything looked 50 feet to me back then. But no, we had good trees. You know, you had
nice sized trees.
We had trees. You didn't have like the little ones that was planted. You had a couple of spots you had fruit trees.
There were 50 and 60-foot American elm
they were taller than
Dutch
the houses.
maple trees there.
They were taller than the houses. And most of the houses,
exactly.
Most of the houses over there is 40 feet.
The trees were taller than the houses over there.
We had trees.
So you know that in this present generation and this project, this current project that the New York State Department of Transportation is talking about doing, none of we that are living here today are going to be able to see whether or not the trees in the park ever reach the height of the former canopy.
They won't have enough dirt. They won't have enough dirt for the roots to go to support it. How you gonna? I mean, I say I don't have no, as I say, DR doctor in front of my name. But how you gonna have a tree that grows and you got a tunnel up under it with that, and you're gonna have rain or wind or something? You can just see when we have stores now, these trees been up for hundreds of years. When the roots come out, the roots big as this building.
What do you think should be done about the fact that some residents, numerous residents in fact, who live on Humboldt Parkway have complained that they have loved one relatives in their families whose health has suffered and has been damaged by the Kensington Expressway? What do you think should be done in those cases where persons claim that they have family members and their own health has been harmed by the Kensington Expressway? What should be done?
Well, we all know what should be done, but
what should be done? Say what
they should be compensated. But we know that ain't gonna happen because this is the United States of America.
We don't know, well, in the United States
I mean,
of
you
America,
can put it there. I'm
there's
just
court
saying,
law.
it'll do that. There's court law, but
There is personal injury law in the
I
United
understand
States.
all that. I understand all that. But see, I'm a realist, and I know how they do. See, I had a
When you say you know how they do, who is they?
insurance companies.
You know how insurance companies do what?
I suppose I got a settlement, supposedly, for a vanity. One of the first ones, lawsuit. Lawsuit started out $330,000. I'm supposed to get. When I got my check, you know how much it was? $8,000.
So what is your impression? Because
You
you
ain't
say
gonna get the money.
on
The
the one
lawyers,
hand,
I'm not saying the lawyers and everybody get the money. If they find a way where the people, the victims get the money, now if it's asbestos or something, they'll get the mesothelioma, they get the medicine. I mean, the compensation. But right now, it's hard to get there. I'm just saying, but what we dealing with now? You gotta see, America, see, I'm old enough, I remember Jim Crow. Jim Crow coming back.
Somewhere we must come to see that human progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals who are willing to be co-workers with God.